Hi guys and welcome back to our channel, where we recap and explain your favorite movies for you. If you want to feel warmth in your heart, get your spirits uplifted, and gather inspiration without missing out on the comical aspects of a lighthearted movie, we have got you covered with the review of The Duke. The movie met its release on February 25th, 2022. Just a little side note, your cheeks might hurt at the end from all of the smile and blushes. The movie begins in a courtroom full of people, in the year 1961. Kimpton Bunton, a taxi driver in his 60s, is being charged by a female lawyer for stealing an artist Goya's portrait of the Duke of Wellington from the National Gallery in London. The painting is worth £140,000. When asked by the lawyer if guilty, Bunton, who is standing firmly, confidently replies that he is not guilty at all. The lawyer then again asks him if he is guilty of making a scene by depriving the public of viewing the portrait. With his shoulders proud, he restates that he is not guilty. Listening to this, the whole courtroom, including the lawyer, starts laughing and the judge in the courtroom takes over. The scene then takes us 6 months back in time, where Kimpton is sending a script to the BBC from his hometown of Newcastle upon Tyne. We next catch Dorothy, Kimpton's wife, who is an elderly woman with white hair and aged skin. She is cleaning the fireplace in the house where she works as a housekeeper and babysitter for a local counselor and his wife. Since it was against the law to own a television without a license and their radar was able to pick up a transformer signal from their home, some inspectors approach their door and ask Jackie, Kimpton's son, if he has one. The inspectors then get inside the house and catch Kimpton watching television. Upon investigation, Kimpton says he does not need a license since he believes television to be a modern cure for loneliness and such a tax on the common man is not right. Dorothy interrupts and says that she will get the matter solved and takes out some money too for the tax, but Jackie gets into a quarrel with the investigators after they misbehave with his father. Soon after, Kimpton is sentenced to 13 days in prison at Durham for unlicensed TV viewing. On his release, Kimpton's son Jackie receives him from the jail, and on their way home, they stop to pay respects to Marion, Jackie's sister, who had died at the young age of 18 in a cycling accident. On the other side, there is a press conference happening where the portrait of the Duke of Wellington is made public. Back at their home, Jackie and Kimpton are having a meal in front of the television while discussing the prime ministership of the Duke of Wellington. Dorothy teases her husband that he never pays any taxes, and how he should start doing that now, especially after his imprisonment. Following this, Jackie meets his elder brother, Kenny, who lives in Leeds and works in construction, but is also involved in low-level criminality at a boat construction site. Kenny offers a smuggling job to Jackie, which he refuses. He wants to become a boat builder and go away instead. His elder brother tries to convince him to take up the gig as he did earlier in the past too, but Jackie told him that he regretted doing that to date and refuses the offer. Side by side, Dorothy assumes that the counselor's wife is embarrassed by her due to the situation with Kimpton and tells her that she can leave if her presence is a problem. The counselor's wife tells her that it is okay as long as Kimpton starts paying taxes. The whole family gathers at Kimpton's house for dinner, but it ends on a bad note as Kenny leaves immediately after getting into an argument with his mother about his work. She asks him about how he is having too much money but is not seen working accordingly. In the preceding scene, due to his excessive small talk with customers and providing a free ride to a destitute disabled World War I veteran, Kimpton loses his job as a cab driver. His employer also swears at him and does not pay him his rightly wage. He then starts a campaign on the streets with Jackie against having retirees to pay for a television license, as well as for his larger, intense ideas about standing up for the common guy. As a result, Dorothy is in a rage and the husband and wife then have a long discussion where she tells him that he is wasting his life. Kimpton tries to make peace with her, but she looks really disappointed. She even begs him to stop his non-serious activities, but Kimpton finally convinces her to let him take a 2-day vacation to London in exchange for the promise that if he doesn't obtain BBC's interest in his scripts and press coverage for his campaign, he will stop writing and campaigning and find a job and keep a head down. Kimpton reaches the BBC office, runs after some journalists at several other press companies with his campaign poster in his hands, and tries to get them to listen to his story about social injustice, but nobody takes an interest, and he even gets thrown out of the offices. Tired Kimpton keeps trying with a pitiful look on his face. In the meanwhile, after he returns to Newcastle with Jackie, a man with a Northeast English accent can be seen stealing the portrait from the National Gallery, and the two of them hide it in a wardrobe using a false back. This news gives rise to chaos and makes waves in public and security departments. Kimpton in the meanwhile promises his wife about stopping all his nonsense and finding a job and having a practical approach toward life. As she moves upstairs in her house, Dorothy has a heartbreaking and painful conversation about her dead daughter with her younger son. She refuses to talk about her death, which annoys her younger son, and have an argument too. She then talks about keeping grieving in private with her husband. In their bedroom, Kempton gets a job at a bread baking factory where his attitude does not seem too serious either, but on the positive side, he even shares some goofy, beautiful little dancing moments with his wife in their kitchen back home. Jackie likes one of his neighbors, Irene, and takes her to the boat construction site where he shares with her his dreams about traveling and what career he wants to pursue, and then they also share a kiss. In a series of ransom letters to the government, Kempton demands that the elderly be spared from having to purchase television licenses in exchange for returning the picture. These notes get the government and security officials deeply invested and active in the case, and their search for the thief gets intense. The incident becomes a famous controversy within no time. After getting into an argument with a manager over the lunch break for a coworker who was being racially discriminated, Kempton loses his job yet again. Kenny and his lover Pamela come to visit his parents, but his mother tries to tease her about work and gets into an argument with Kenny as a result. The newspaper publishes an offer for the secret letter writer while back at home. Pamela is able to spot the painting in the wardrobe as she was living with Kenny in that room. The whole family, including Irene and Pamela, go out for dinner at a restaurant. At the bar, with nobody else from the family around, Pamela tells Kempton that she knows about the painting and demands half the prize money, or else threatens to tell the authorities about it and it could result in his imprisonment. He immediately shares this with Jackie in the washroom of the restaurant, and they both get extremely worried. In a panic, Kempton runs out of the hotel, reaches home, and comes to know that his wife found out the truth too. He tells her that it is not theft, but rather money for his campaign to help people. With disbelief on her face, Dorothy is convinced that she is living with a madman. He explains to her that he is going to do exactly what he thinks is best for all of them. Kempton decides against the Daily Mirror's advised strategy to use the painting's exhibition to gain money for his campaign and enters the National Gallery to hand it back and make his confession. He eventually ends up in jail, where he meets up with a barrister named Jeremy and a junior counselor. His unnecessary jokes and talkative trait did not leave his side even in jail. Dorothy and Jackie seem to have made peace with the situation. At his first hearing at the court, Kempton makes everybody in the room burst out into laughter with his responses, including the barristers and jury. What comes next in sequence is exactly what is shown in the first scene of the movie, about Kempton not pleading guilty to any of the charges pressed. The case activities proceed in the court, and although it appears that the case has no chance of success, Kempton's attorney, Jeremy, defends him and tries to gain sympathy of the jury by arguing that he simply borrowed the gallery's property to continue to pursue his campaign rather than intending to permanently take it away. The attorney is able to gather support for this argument from Kempton's valuable testimony when he is questioned by him. During the preliminary hearings of the case, Jackie returns to his home in Newcastle and reveals to his mother that, in reality, it was he who had stolen the item for his father to use in his mission, with his father shielding him and taking the blame. His mother makes a huge scene out of it and looks extremely disturbed and worn out by this. She also calls him a thief and a liar. He also takes her mother through the entire event of him stealing the portrait from the gallery and explains Kempton's reaction to the theft. All accusations against Kempton are dropped by the jury, with the exception of the stealing of the 80-pound picture frame that Jackie had taken from the painting at his apartment in London before losing. Following his 3-month imprisonment after a couple of detailed and intense case sessions in the court, Kempton and Dorothy meet up and make a deal to make amends for the improper handling of their grief over Marion's passing. At his release, Dorothy is at the gate to receive him. They have a heartfelt discussion about their dead daughter and try to reconcile. Both the sons can also be seen interacting and engaging with their father over drinks after returning home. The husband and wife's reconnection may be seen when she is there at the jail to receive, and then they laugh together while watching the James Bond movie Dr. No together at the cinema, and Sean Connery spots the stolen Goya portrait of the Duke of Wellington in the scene. 4 years later, Jackie confesses to being guilty to the police, but they are worried, and as is the director of public prosecutions, that a new trial would result in Kempton being questioned as a witness and once more turning into a laughingstock of the world. The officials consequently agree that they won't file any charges if Jackie stays quiet. The frame was never found, and no plays by Kempton were ever made up or staged, according to text at the end of the movie. But 40 years later, TV licenses were made free for persons over 75. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe for more great videos. We will see you in the next one.